Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Coming to you live again from Sydney, Australia for the IPC TV. Look at that for an intro. Absolutely amazing. As you know, I have been jumping on IPC TV live this week with each of the incredible co-authors, all who stepped up to pay it forward with the latest edition, Volume 4 of the collaborative project between Imperfectly Perfect Campaign and the Pay It Forward Notes to My Younger Self by Kezia Luckett. None so more. I feel like I'm speaking to this lady who's the next co-author to come up on the show every single day. But the wisdom that she pours out to me, I'm very, very grateful for. So without further ado, I'm just going to get straight into this one because Kristi doesn't really need an introduction. Everybody knows her on IPC TV. She's been on numerous times. So welcome, Kristi.
Hello, hello. So excited to be here again.
It feels like we've just been on a live.
We were, and that's the greatest part. I love talking to you. Like we just share so much, and for me, that is, our connection, our journey together. We've gone through the ins and outs of a lot of things. And it's just been such a short time that we've known each other. So I'm excited because when you told me about this book and doing it, and I was like, first, you were talking about it, and I was like, gosh, do I want to add on another project right now? But then I was like, you know what a great opportunity. And so, and then just even being able to work closer with you and getting to know all of the incredible people that are a part of the book, that in and of itself has made it worthwhile, because I think everybody's story needs to be told. We've heard that a lot. And for me, it was one of those things that I felt like if I was telling my story, I was just talking about me. And I try and be a better listener than a talker, but it's that relating piece that people need to know, that when you're going through something, that your story could ultimately help them to believe in themselves. And when I realized it from that point of view, I thought, well, you know what? This is why I need to do this. And so here I am with you, with all these amazing co-authors, with Kezia, and with all of these incredible names as well that you have worked for the past 4 years to build these relationships, to have them believe in you and your mission. And I'm just grateful. I'm blessed to be a part of this.
Well, the book is blessed to have you because you are a woman of your word when it comes to sharing your story, making a difference to a lot of the younger generation, our future generations. And when people don't realize that, for anybody that's just coming across this, like I say, I chuck the IPC across multiple platforms. If you look here, there, and everywhere, I'm at IG Live, I'm here, because of the replays. For people who can't watch it at this time, you need to check Kristi out, and you need to watch the work that she does in her foundation, because when you meet people, and I will always say, when you meet people on a spiritual path, it feels like they're a part of your family, extended family. Like you can just talk like you've known each other for years. And like you said there, rightly so, it's not been that long. However, we have, or should I say, I feel we have the most in-depth conversation about every single facet of life. Problems, trials, tribulations, the successes, the blessings. And when you find those people in your life, you want to keep them and shout them from the rooftop, because their success is your success, so that you can help more people. And that's what we're here to do with the book. So we met, let's take it back. We met on Clubhouse, the infamous Clubhouse. And what was it? It was a room about angel investors or something, I think, rightly so. And
it was Manny. It was in Manny Fernandez's room.
That was it. Yeah. And this woman was talking, and then introduced us both. And we kind of left Clubhouse and took the relationship and ran with it. So I don't even know if that room's still on now. I remember popping in now and again, and there were certain people that I'd see. But this is the thing that we always talk about. I know you do on your platforms. It's about when you build those relationships, you take them off platforms and you nurture them, you get to know the person. And I suppose when I met Kezia and this book came into fruition, and it was about a woman that had something placed on her heart to share the stories of the women. And then obviously what IPC does, obviously there was a collaboration there that was just meant to happen. To tell you about that, you have come a long way, like you were just saying, about sharing your story and not coming from a place of, oh, I haven't got a story to share. When people hear your story, you've got a story to share. So what made you step forward and think, you know what, now is the time to actively share it to a wider audience?
First and foremost, it was, I'll say, is because I believed in you. I believed in the work that you do. And the more that we talked about it and the more that you were telling me, you know, I'm doing this collaborative book and this is what, you know, what we're doing. Initially, it wasn't even to tell my story. Initially, it was because, you know what, I want to somehow support Glenn in the IPC. And that was my initial thought on it. And then I stepped back and I said, you know, because even at that time, I didn't know who was going to be attached to it. I didn't know what it was going to be. And I'm like, you know, and it'll be good. I didn't look into the book. I didn't look into see who was in it or what it was about or anything like that. I just thought, well, if he's working on it, then it's got to be something pretty important. And you had always been so supportive of me. And I think back a year ago today, you know, and I was living at home, you know, with my mom, and I'm 40 at that time, you know, 43, about to be 44 years old. And, you know, things had fallen to pieces on me. And, you know, in this past year, you've been on that journey of like watching me also pick them back up. And so when I originally decided to do this, I didn't really think much about the book. I didn't think much about telling my story. I thought, you know what, this is something that you know, I believe in.
Binds us
And
together forever.
yeah, that's right. That's right. and so, but then it evolved, and the journey in writing this really was something that I needed. And I'll never forget the day that you and Kezia were on Clubhouse, my morning, your evening, her afternoon. And I had this huge breakthrough listening to you guys in understanding why I didn't ask for things. And that's one of the things that I talk about in my chapter, as to why I felt bad asking for things for myself. I will go out there and I will ask for somebody else. I will put my voice out there. I will help anybody. But when it came to myself, I was put on the back burner. I felt, well, I don't need help. I don't, you know, I can do this on my, I don't want to bother anybody, but I'd bother anybody if I knew that it would push somebody else forward. And so that was a huge breakthrough for me. But I think the other thing too is when we talk about notes to our younger self, there's so many pivotal moments in our life. There's not just one story. And so a lot of people have that one moment, right? And growing up for me, it was a couple of moments when I was really, really young. I was like 5 or 6. And that was that big breakthrough. But then there was this other moment at the age of 16 where I realized that I could do anything I set my mind to. And so in that moment, I was like, whoo. But a lot of times, and we go through this, is that people, young people, youth, they quit. Or we today are too busy trying to help young people feel comfortable. But it's
Mhm.
that uncomfortableness, it's those struggles that make us who we are. And so, and there's that one part of the book, one part of everybody's chapter, you say, if you had to go back and do anything differently, what would it be? And I wouldn't do anything differently. I would not do anything differently because it made me who I am today. And I struggled through a great many things. For me, my whole life has been, eating disorders, whether it was overeating, anorexia, bulimia, that's one piece of my
Mhm.
story. Perfectionism, so like when you think about all of these things, um, they really are more, it's more than one story. So like depending on the situation, you always have something that you can share. And now I feel that I'm building back up. I'm climbing back up that mountain and to the right side of it. Why? Because that one thing about that I have in me is that when I set my mind and I truly set my mind to doing something, I don't give in.
Mhm.
I don't give up. And you can testify on that one more or less,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things that, you know, there's our life is built made of so many stories that we can share. And for me, in my life now, it's taking that information and paying it forward, so to speak, to, for me, is the younger generation or anybody that needs it. But for me, it's focused on the younger generation, because if I can help them maybe navigate a little bit through some of the errors or mistakes that they can avoid, not saying to eliminate the struggle, but learn from somebody that went through it to kind of not add in the dangerous
Mhm.
pieces that went along with it, then I would like to help them in that way. For sure.
It is, and for anyone listening or watching the replay afterwards, like Kristi, as long as I've known her, she's literally leads by being humble, and what she has achieved. Like she said, when we met, and she was going through one of her hardest times, and she'd come off a high. She literally built a school. She'd gone through that, the pandemic hit, and then came down with a bang. And she openly speaks about it. So she literally does lead by truth, and she shares that story because she also understands, as a woman of faith, that leading by truth will enable somebody else to learn, like you've just been saying. But in further saying that, I just want to say, like, what I have seen you go through and overcome, and to find the love and the joy and the passion again. And we often fall into the flesh where we do doubt ourselves on that journey and say, can we do it again? And not once have I seen you falter in terms of questioning yourself or questioning God with your faith. And the amount of times I have asked for help from you in terms of my faith and questioning things, even though you have been going through your own things, you're always there for every single person. So I just want to say on behalf, I'm very fortunate that God brought you onto my path and my life, because I've learned so much. But all those kids, guys, just check your foundation out. Just seek and pour and contribute a little bit, because often people like the IPC, like your foundation, it's when you are doing grassroots,
Mm-hmm.
they are hard to make them sustainable unless you get grants and funds by the government. But if you're led by something bigger that's being placed on your heart, sometimes you don't want to go down those routes.
Right.
You want to make a difference your way instead of being told what to do. And
Mm-hmm.
you have led from the front the whole way through. And now we're on the cusp of the 30th of November for this book to come out. What are your hopes for it?
My hope is that people who may be going or have gone through some of the same struggles that I have realize that there is light in the darkness, that there is the outcome that they're looking for if they just persevere, if they don't allow fear and the idea of what if it doesn't work to take over their mind. And it's really hard to do, because on the other side of that is, what if it does work? Imagine all of the lives that you could change if you just believe that it will work, because there's also the very good chance that it will work, And so what I want people to take from my story and everybody's story is that, and I was just having this conversation in class with 10, 11-year-olds yesterday, that when you look at people and where they started, they all started either, I started with a good foundation, a good family, people who loved me and cared about me, but many people don't. And they still succeed. They still rise above. Why? And the only reason why is they persevere, meaning they don't give up, even in the face of adversity, difficulty, struggle, trauma, and they don't allow fear to hold them back. Because so many people are stuck on, I'm going to lose this, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, or, I'm not going to be able to pay for this, or whatever. But that fear of losing things ultimately stops them from moving forward, because that is the biggest thing, I think, in why people don't go through and achieve their goals and their dreams. And I was literally just creating a YouTube video on this, on fear, from a mastermind I attended. And I just believe, and that's what I want people to say, if your mind is not with you in a positive sense, surround yourself by the people that believe in you. They may not need to be in the same doing on the same thing, but that believe in your mission, your vision, your dreams, believe that you can do it, so that you can ultimately start believing in yourself.
Yep.
Because that's what happens. We don't believe in ourselves. We often say, wow, it'd be great to be them, because, they could do it. Everybody else can do it, but I can't. Well, why not? Right? Everybody started the same. Everybody came out of their mother the same way, and we often look at it as, well, I wasn't born into money, or I wasn't born into the right situation. Well, if you look at most success stories, they do not come from advantaged backgrounds. And those that do come from advantaged backgrounds, they often fail because they had everything handed to them. And so you need to think on that level. But whatever it is, whatever your dream is, whatever that, desire, passion, obsession is that you have inside, today, whoever listens, whoever reads this book, just go out there and take that first step. You don't have to have it all planned out. I didn't have it all planned out. You didn't have it all planned out. It evolves as time goes. But what's the one thing you can do today to move towards that?
Love that. Love that. And the big thing is believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with that pure belief and someone we equally know. It's that's his whole premise around believing in yourself. And I think there's a question that always comes up. Well, it's rather a statement that you see sometimes, and it's when somebody of a corporate leader has come onto the campaign or with anything. And you know what? If you lead by humility and you are humbled, and you can be humbled, we've all been a part of the flesh, the ego, where we would have said this at one time or another, and that's where you know you're growing. So the statement is often, say if there's a corporate leader who's a millionaire, and the question would be coming, oh, it's okay for you to say that now you're sat on your millions. However, I always revert to those comments and I open a conversation and say, look into their story and find out where they came from. And then what will normally come back is, yes, but look where they're sat now. And now they're saying all of this stuff and the positive quotes. I'm like, so in reality, what you're saying is that they can't change. They might have worked so hard and struggled so bad that they're now saying what they're saying to make it easier for the next person, that they don't have to go through exactly what they did. Because why I pour into people is I've made so many mistakes along the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of people that have come along my journey, as we know, and your journey, and we thought they were the right people, they were the wrong people, or we didn't see it coming, but they're all tests.
Yeah.
And we know with this book, when you have a group of people collective, like the IPC, like your foundation, if the energy is not there, it's hard to make things move. If the energy is there with the intent for the mission, you put it out into the universe, you know it's going to go far. Like, we can do all the writing we want. I can bring all the celebrities I want. I can bring all the publicity I want for it. However, it's the energy you emit. You
Mm-hmm.
go in it with pure intentions, you do it for a mission, and your stories are so transparently raw, authentic, and it doesn't hold back. Like, I've read the stories. We've got some celebrities who've read testimonials already because I gave them so they could read it, and
Mm-hmm.
just blown away, just blown away. So I cannot wait until the 30th of November for it to go out to the world. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, any words to finish by that you want to actually just impart something? Because as I say to everybody, this lady is full of wisdom.
The one thing that kept me going, because ego often gets in the way. When I had to move back home last year, I thought to myself, wow, how the mighty have fallen. You know, that was what I literally
Being there.
hid in my home back in my hometown. Other than to go to the supermarket, I didn't go out for a couple months
Wow.
because I had this facade of the success of what people back home thought I was doing. And it wasn't until I could get rid of that and come back to humility, because I've always done things in a humble way. It was me against me. And what brought me out of that was my constant faith, my constant belief that God did not bring me to this point to ultimately this be the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
That faith is what kept me going. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't. And we have to think about certain things, and whatever religion you are associate with. Most people in the world believe in a higher power, whether it's the universe, whether it's God. I believe in God, I believe in Jesus. And we have to look at those stories in the Bible. Like, if you look at any story, God chose sinners. God chose, put people through tests. They struggled. But ultimately, why? So that when the miracle came, it showed out, their faith showed out. in him. And that ultimately is what it is, because like I shared with you, and even reopening the school and moving forward, like that was all orchestrated by, if you guys call it a higher power, for me, by God, because this stuff doesn't just happen, right? And when we look at our faith and we look at what happens, and sometimes things happen in a way that we don't necessarily want them to, but we're so busy trying to maneuver it the way that we see it in our mind. And sometimes we just need to let go and let God, And so for me, that is what truly got me through that difficult time. I did not waver in my faith, in what I know my purpose is here on this earth.
I'm laughing inside because, so for anyone listening, this is how, whether you call it universe, God, maneuvers and flows in things, because this was initially a 30-minute about the book, and it's funny what comes up, it comes out, and it's just led, and it just flows, and it goes from one tangent to another tangent, meaning the same exact thing for people listening, that once you are able to tap out of what we've been indoctrinated in, societal things, and you learn to tap in whether you have a belief in universal law of attraction, God, as we say. But one thing that I have learned is that, and I learned it quite recently, and it was brought up to me, it may have been even something a lady that I know said, but I'm not sure. But it was a sense in, going, you will be shown so much until the point a lot of things will be taken away from you, so that you can see it clearly what is being done for you. And there was a point where I was going, like you said, when you was at rock bottom, and there was a time when I was on construction 12 hours a day. Like, people see the grandeur of IPC and what you did, but they don't see the behind the scenes often. And I speak openly about it and go, I was a 35, 6-year-old man with a mortgage and wife and kids, and I was stood on a construction site. Nothing wrong with it, but I was hosing for 12 hours a day as a laborer. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I was like, what am I doing? I'm stood here holding a hose for 12 hours a day. Like, and it just shows you how things evolve and things move. And one of the biggest things I have learned recently is, if you keep walking with a righteous heart, doing the right things and knowing you're doing the right things, the blessings and opportunities will keep coming for you, and doors will keep on opening. And I'm very grateful. These past few months, they've just continuously grown, and this campaign's grown. And the same for you. Your school is just growing, and it's getting out there. And it just shows you, you lead with a humble heart. And when we talk about being righteous, it was funny because we had this conversation about righteous. It kept on popping up. And I was like, yeah, but you don't want to be known as righteous. Again, that comes from the flesh. When you think of righteous in the flesh, you think of, oh, someone's got, oh, they think they're so self-righteous and that. But righteous actually means morals, integrity, and you keep doing the right thing and you'll keep moving forward. And yeah, I just love how these conversations can go. Like, seriously.
One thing before we end that I picked up from what you were saying too is that when you truly believe in what you're doing, you will do whatever it takes.
Yep.
You will work 2, 3, 4 jobs. You will wake up early in the morning and work until late at night, because that's what it takes to get to that, to get your mission across. And that's where a lot of people falter, and then they just see, where the end point is. And I think that that's a really key piece there, is that those that do succeed, it's because they do whatever it takes, morally, whatever it takes, ethically, whatever it takes. They'll work construction, they'll work 20 hours a day. They'll do that because they know that the end is going to be something so much greater.
Mm. It even goes to the point. I was doing a podcast earlier with a lady that actually blew the Imperfectly Perfect campaign up because she took us on Sky News. Incredible lady, Jacinta Tynan. And even she said to me the last time we went on Sky News, she was like, I think it was 2 years into it. She was like, "Are you making any money off it yet? Like to make sure that you're okay and sustainable because you're doing a lot of work." And I was like, "Well, I'm mentoring on the side and I'm doing this on the side." And she was like, "Yeah, but," I was like, "But that's not about that. It's monetized to make it sustainable. There'll be a day when it turns into that. However,
Mhm.
there is a huge reason why I didn't want to touch the government, because I don't want to adhere to what other people," and that belief, it can falter at times, and we've both been through it when it gets really,
Mhm.
really hard. But if you keep on walking with that full belief that those rewards will come, because what's meant for you will not go past you. So there's no need to kind of, I think if we learn to tap out of that ego way too much, if we are taught this in school, it would change things. And I know that's something that you do through school, and you empower those kids, which I'm so grateful to know that you do that. And yeah, I'm just very grateful that obviously God put the Imperfectly Perfect campaign and the Maggio Foundation in front of each other. It's blossomed into an incredible relationship that we've never actually met each other. So I can't wait to get to the Dominican Republic and bring the family, and likewise get to Sydney, whichever flights open first. I don't even know
Mhm.
if we can fly to Dominican Republic. I don't know whether they're still mandating things. So yeah,
Not
it will
here.
happen. We know it'll happen. We know it'll happen one
Absolutely.
day.
For
Um,
sure.
but yeah, I just want to thank you for your time. Obviously, guys, you need to follow Kristi. You need to see the incredible things. Not only is she an amazing co-author for the Pay It Forward Notes to My Younger Self, she's also an author of her own book. Give it a little plug because it is an incredible book, especially for parents with teenagers or even younger.
Mhm. Yeah. Follows and likes, is this all that I'm worth? That's it's one of those things in understanding, helping kids understand social media. So absolutely, if you're struggling with kids in social media, or just want to understand it more, and you are a part of that as well. A smaller part. Next time you're going to be a bigger part. And but yes, but I'm excited about this book coming out, and all of the all of the great things and all of the lives that we're going to help in this. So yeah, thank you so much. And you can go to, if you want to learn more about me, kristimaggio.com, and it will lead you into all of the other things that I do as well.
And guys, remember that date, the 30th of November, 2022. You're going to see a lot more from the ladies, the co-authors. You'll see them running throughout the IPC TV, the magazine. There's been a lot of articles, the podcast, everything, guys. Make sure you follow myself, you follow Kezia, you find out more about Kristi and all the other co-authors that you're going to meet this week and next week. Until next time, guys, keep on checking in. Find out where you can find more information about the Imperfectly Perfect campaign, which will lead you to the book series as well. And keep those conversations going. I always have to end it like this because it's like the podcast ending. It's like keep those hard conversations going because it truly is the hard conversations that saves lives.